This camera angle is really good because you wouldn't know that there are piles of laundry at my feet. Well, now you do because I've told you. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Alyssa and today I wanted to talk about the books that I read in March. March was actually a relatively productive reading month. I ended up finishing 3 books, starting a couple more. There's one that I'm pretty sure I'm gonna put down, but we'll get into all that later. But I'm actually proud of myself that I actually have things to talk about. Look at me go. Just killing it over here. So let's get started. So the first book that I finished was The Dream Thieves by Maggie Stiefvater. I listened to this on audiobook and it was such a joy to listen to. I love Ronan. He is my favorite character. He is definitely like the comic relief slash driving force for me in this series. If you don't know, this is the sequel to The Raven Boys, which is like a magical realism slash fantasy about a group of kids, teenagers, who are on this quest to find this dead Welsh king and get a favor if they wake him. It has a lot more than just that. There's a lot of like character development and just heartwarming moments that just make you happy. Not to mention the sass. This one's my favorite in the series. It's the one I remember the most, so I obviously loved rereading it. I definitely want to reread the other 2. I don't know when I'm going to get around to that because I've got other things I want to read as well. This one's just so good and I really enjoyed my reread. I obviously gave this 5 out of 5 stars. Incredible. Okay, so the next book I finished is another second book to a series, and that is Heart of Flames by Nicki Preto. This one was so good. Heart of Flames is the sequel to Crown of Feathers, which follows 2 sisters, one of which who is very kind, the other one is kind of a jerk. Kind of is a nice way to put it. And together they both want to be Phoenix Riders, but things happen and they separate ways, kind of trying to figure out their goals their own ways. And we follow Veronica, the nice one, as she disguises herself as a boy in order to join the Phoenix Rider group that she stumbles upon. This second book just, oh boy, played with my emotions. It made me angry, happy. It made me just, my heart palpitate a little bit. This sequel was action-packed, and even though it was so action-packed, there were definitely some more heartwarming slow moments, and it was a little slower paced, just by a little slower than the first one, but honestly, like, the ending of this book, it didn't matter anymore if the beginning was a little slow. Things happen in this sequel that make me really wish it was July so book 3 would get here, because I need to know what happens. This has honestly become one of my new favorite fantasy series. I'm obsessed. I love it. I bought the Owl Crate exclusive edition for the second one and the first one, but I'm so excited for Wings of Shadow to come out. My heart, I don't know what's gonna happen. But there were some twists I was not expecting, and I was just sitting there like, no. So yeah, obviously I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. If you have not picked up this series, please do. I feel like no one talks about it, and yeah, it's just so good. And the last book that I finished this month was Pachinko by Min Jin Lee. I decided on a whim to pick this up. I think I started at the end of last month. I can't actually remember. And I listened to it on audiobook and it was so good. I was really surprised how much I enjoyed this, because I went into this thinking I'd be kind of bored because I am primarily a fantasy reader, so I didn't think that I would enjoy this as much as everybody else had. But I really liked it. This is like an epic generational family drama. The story begins in 1910 and it goes all the way up to like 1989, I think, or 88 or something. And it follows the family of Sunja, who is the daughter of a crippled fisherman, and kind of just follows her journey as she becomes pregnant out of wedlock, and then moves to Japan and raising her family in Japan during a time where Koreans are considered dirty, disgusting, and oftentimes just seen as garbage, especially in Japan. And just those struggles with, you know, raising a family, keeping them fed, but also like keeping that heritage close to you, even though the world around you wants you to just deny it and drop it. So Sunja's family is a mess. I'm gonna say that. I feel so bad for her. Her whole life is a mess. This book, like, just shows the ups and downs and the realities of life in such a way that made you feel for every single character. There were so many times where I was listening to this while either cleaning my house or at the gym, and I had to stop what I was doing because I was so shocked, because things happened that I did not see coming. This talks a lot about Pachinko, which is a Japanese pinball machine game kind of thing. It's like you drop the balls down the top and they just go blink, 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 blink down at the bottom, and if you win, you win. And I think it's kind of a reflection on Sunja's life and her family's life, that you can hope, you can drop your balls and hope you're gonna win in life. However, sometimes you might miss the mark and you might not get that lottery, and that's just kind of how life is. There were definitely some good moments to Sunja's life that had me crying and so happy, but then there were some moments that were just so devastating. And some things that just like could have been avoided if certain characters had told other characters the truth from the beginning. The ending did have me teary-eyed because of just how it all kind of came together, and despite everything that had happened, there was still love, there was still family, it was still the center despite all of the turmoil going on. This really made me appreciate my family and my kid, because, you know, Sunja's a mom, so there was a lot of things I could really relate to, and I really enjoyed this. It made me feel a lot of things. I've heard mixed things. Most people here on BookTube seem to love this, but from like personal people, they hated it because it was so sad, but I'm like, that's life. Life can be a bummer. It's not all cupcakes and rainbows. And I think the author did that really well. The one thing I will have to say that kind of bothered me, I guess, about this book was just the constant needing to tell me the background of every little character that came in. Like, some I could understand, but I don't know why I needed a whole backstory on the guy who ran the grocery store. It just kind of felt like unnecessary, but it did add to the richness of the story in the world, but at the same time, like, you never saw them again, so what's the point? Maybe I just don't read enough historical literary fiction, but just seemed odd to me. And as somebody who is a Christian, I enjoyed Isak the most. He was such a stand-up gentleman, he was kind, he was loving, you know, his faith never wavered, and that was really nice to see. His family is a hot mess, but he was like this firm believer, and it just made my day, because I was like, he's so cool, like, what a cool guy. And I would definitely say that I love Sunja too, because, you know, moms, we can relate. I think I gave this like a 4.5 out of 5 stars, I think. Not totally 5 stars because of the random things that bugged me, but I really did enjoy this, and I highly recommend it if you're into historical and if you want to learn more about Korean history. I really enjoyed this. It makes me want to pick up more historical fiction, but then at the same time, I'm like, I gotta give my heart a break because this hurt. Those are the 3 books I finished. I did start some books and I'm going to talk about them very briefly. The first one being, oh boy, I always get this title mixed up. City of Souls, I think. Or Tunnel of Souls. It's this one. All the titles of this series sound the same. This is the Cassidy Blake series by Victoria Schwab. I'm listening to this on audiobook. I recently started it, so I'm not very far, but I love this series. I love the ghost hunting element, and it's just so good and easy to listen to and fun. If you don't know the Cassidy Blake series, the first one being, I believe, City of Ghosts, Yeah, City of Ghosts, Tunnel of Bones, and then something Souls. Whatever this is. I'm so bad at this, I'm so sorry. And it follows Cassidy Blake, who can see ghosts, and ironically her parents are like the investigators who go to these haunted locations and learn about the history and hunt for ghosts. But obviously she can see them, and her job is to send them back, and shenanigans happen. Like bad shenanigans. Victoria Schwab's such a great writer, and I feel like her middle grade books are just so pleasant to read and so comforting, like despite it being like this scary ghost story. But yeah, I'm listening to this. Stay tuned for more. The next one I started, and I'm like 50-ish pages in or something, and I'm not liking it at all. I have no desire to pick this up, and it makes me so sad. And I'm not gonna lie, like I've debated whether or not I want to just get rid of it or put it back on my shelves and pick it up another day. Like that's where I've been. And that is The Bone Ships by R.J. Barker. I really wanted to love this. I got 43 pages in, my bad, and I have no clue what's going on. I'm almost 50 pages in, and I feel like I should at least know something, and I know nothing. It's just a lot of this main character complaining and hemming and hawing about the fact that this lady has taken over his boat. I like her, but it's just really confusing. I could not tell you the description or describe this book in any way articulately. Basically, it's about these bone ships that are made from ancient dragon bones, so they're magical at the same time, I guess. And one day a dragon's spotted, so obviously the hunt is on to make another boat. Honestly, the concept sounds so cool, but the writing is so weird. I am not driving with it, and I think that maybe it's because partially I don't know what's going on. Secondly, I'm already bad with boat terms, okay? I'm trying to learn. I don't live near an ocean, so I don't hear it all the time. But they've changed all the names for things, like all the names of the boat parts, all the crew names, like everything's a weird name, and there's no guide. So I'm so confused, and there's been no explanation for what's what. And I'm nearly 50 pages in. Honestly, I think I'm just gonna put it down for now and maybe come back to it, because I really want to know what happens, because I love the concept, but the writing is just dense in a bad way. I don't know how to describe it, honestly. It's just weird. I've heard a lot of people also say online that they also felt that the writing was kind of weird, so I'm glad I'm not the only one, but I am kind of bummed because this was going to go towards my video of pirate book recommendations, and now I can't recommend it. Okay, and the last one that I started and I am kind of loving, I don't know. It's A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. So here's the thing. I've heard so many people love this, but I've also heard a few people hate it. And I'm scared. Because so far I'm enjoying it, but I'm like trying not to get my hopes up with the hype and kind of be a bit more realistic. I'm not very far in, but I am enjoying it. The writing's obviously easy because it's Sarah J. Maas, and it's like a super simple story to get into, but I'm scared. We haven't reached the steamy moments, thank God, but it's coming. But yeah, this is Sarah J. Maas's newest novel set in the Court of Thorns and Roses universe, and it's following Nesta, Farrah's sister, and her relationship with Cassian. There's also a bunch of other stuff going on that I'm like, what? Because honestly, don't remember what happened in book 3. Was I gonna reread it before this? I was thinking about it. I didn't, because I didn't realize how big this was. So, but I am really enjoying it, and I think that it could be good, but I'm like kind of just waiting to have a good solid answer on how I feel. There you have it. This is like the worst stack ever, but these are all the books that I read or partially read. There you have it. This is heavy. I'm putting this down. I have weak arms. So there you have it. Those are all the books that I read in March. Pretty pleased with myself actually, because I did end up reading so much. Let me know down below what you read this month, And of course, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't, and leave a thumbs up if you want. It's up to you. I will see you very soon in the next video. Bye-bye!